Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to DC Deck Building Rebirth. This is video 3. In this video, we're going to go over these scenario packs, the special signature cards, anything that would be spoilery. So if you don't want spoilers for the story campaign, skip this video. If you want to know more about what Rebirth exactly is, check out part 1 where I go over the components of the game, as well as kind of the basic idea of what is in the game. I'm just showing off the box, all the different expansions. And then check out video part 2 if you want to actually know what cards are in the game. So if you, for some reason, have clicked on this one first, hop back into those, and you can learn more about what the game is, so you understand what these are and what all that concepts are. Or hop into video 2 to see all the different normal cards you can unlock. This is going to be our spoilery-rific stuff. So that is my last warning if you don't want spoilers. So while you're playing through the campaign, there are various things that are going to earn you special signature cards. So if I'm playing, normally everyone starts with 6 punches to your basic power cards. You get 3 moves. You cut your character move around the board, and then you get 1 helping hand. So all players start with the exact same decks. The only thing that separates them, normally, is their character card. But this game will add special signature cards. So as you're playing through, you're going to unlock cards that are going to make your starter deck better. Each time you get one, you remove one of your basic punch cards, and it gives you a little bit better card to replace it with. And then what that does is, so I'm not saying which, I don't remember which one does this, but let's say you beat scenario 2 and it lets you add a card. Now when you play scenario 3, you'll have 1 new card in your deck, which then also makes everyone's deck a little bit different as you go along. So here we have the Flash, so we're going to look at his cards. So you start off with the Flash suit, so it's going to say signature. It's going to say Flash number 1, so you know which one it is, and it's a move card. It's also considered a starter. So everyone's first card is considered a starter card. I'm not sure exactly why they did it that way, but it might just be because that way you'll get too overpowered with stuff right off the bat. Sorry, I have all my cards mixed up here. Okay, so yeah, he's going to replace that punch, and you're going to have move 1, +1 power. So the +1 power is going to be the same, so all it's just doing is giving Flash an additional move, which is really helpful because he already starts with a 2 move. So now you get to, if you play this card, you gain up extra move every turn, or every time you play it, so that's very helpful. His second one is going to be a superpower. He has Whoosh. +1 power. The next time you move this turn, you may move a villain in your space in the direction you move, so you can kind of bring a villain with him. It doesn't even have to be necessarily like him running through them or running by them. He can just maybe drag them in his trail. But yeah, it works again with his move abilities. And then his third one's another superpower, which says Carry On. +1 power, and you may pay 1 move. Move a target character in your space 1 space. So again, Flash makes sense. It's extra things moving all his power. Getting +1 on each one is basically just replacing that punch. So you're not losing any of your power by gaining these extra abilities. Alright, up next we're going to look at Simon Boz. So his stuff, he gets, each of your turns you play 3 or more different cards. You draw a card, move a character 1 space. So he wants to play different cards. His signature 1 starter card is Sector 2814, which is Earth, that's encompassed in there. +1 power. You may put the next card you buy or gain this turn on the bottom of your deck, so it helps you get to it quicker. His signature 2 is a superpower. He has Healing Light. +1 power. You may destroy a weakness in your discard pile or the discard pile of a character within 1 range. I think that's the first card that I've seen that said destroying a weakness specifically. But there's not a lot of stuff that hang out weaknesses either. And then thirdly, he has Emerald Sight. Play the top card of the main deck, return it at the end of the turn. Attacks resolve only against you. So this is the first one where he doesn't, unlike Flash, he doesn't keep that power. But the top card of the deck, it could be just about anything. It could be a villain, and it could attack you. It could be a +4 power. So it could be good or bad. But that is his stuff. So let's look at the other Green Lantern. We have Jessica, who has a very similar ability. So if you play 3 or more cards of the same type, you may move a villain. So she gets Original Power Ring. +1 power. There's another character in your space. You get 1 additional power. Willpower, superpower ability. +1 power. If there are no cards in your space, she gets +1 power. And then she has Teamwork. Assist, range 1, +1 power. If it is not your turn, an additional +1 power. So hers is a little over the place. She gets 1 bonus for being with people, 1 for not being with people. And then this one, she gets 1 for helping out somebody else, whether she's with them or not. So it's kind of interesting. None of them really play with her ability to do stuff with villains. Alright, let's look at Aquaman. So when you play superpowers, you may put a card with a cost of 4 or less, and you're in the discard pile. So he's going to get Talking to the Fishes. Play the bottom card of your deck. So that kind of works nice with his ability, because you put a card on there, know what it is, this is what you play it right away. He's going to get a hero, so he's going to get Mara. +1 power. If there are no cards in your discard pile, 1 additional power. And then King of Atlantis. You may play a card with a cost of 3 or less within 1 range. Return it at the end unless it is in the lineup or destroyed. You may play a card with a cost of 3 or less within 1 range. Return it at the end of turn unless it is in the lineup or destroyed. Interesting. So just to play extra cards. Alright, then we have Cyborg. He says he played 2 or more different equipment, getting 1 move and 2 powers. So his stuff maybe works with equipment. We have Electrified Field. +1 power. Place a contained token as supervillain on your space. Remove it at the end of your next turn. This is one of our contained tokens. Whoops. It says on the back. Doesn't move at the start of turn, and move at the end of your next turn. So he gets a extra time to contain people. He gets an equipment, Boom Tube, +1 power. You may place any number of characters on your space onto another space. He gets mass movement, and then he gets Connected. +1 power. You may pay for location abilities without being at that location, still once per turn. The Batman. So when you avoid attacks to defeat villains, you reveal the top card of their deck and you may destroy it. So he's got Detective Work. +1 power. For each player may reveal the top card of their deck. So that kind of helps you figure out what you want to do. That does work with his ability too. So you could play this, reveal the top card of your deck, and then his ability, so when you attack or defeat a villain, each player reveals the top card of the deck and may destroy it. We already kind of know what's on the top of everyone's deck anyhow, so that lets you reveal them. But that's just target player may reveal this thing, like each player, so everyone gets to see what they have, so you know who you can maybe pick, so you're not wasting that. Alfred Pennyworth, +1 power. Defense, discard this to avoid an attack, gain +1 power, so that works great with that. And then it's actually fun, he gets a Batarang. +1 power, you may defeat villains within 1 range. So he gets, all his stuff works very synergistic. Superman. During each of your turns, +1 power for each villain on your space. So, Big Blue Boy Scout. +1 power. Each time you defeat a villain this turn, you may gain a card with a cost of 4 or less on your space. Bulletproof. +1 power defense. Put this card on the top of your deck to avoid an attack. That's actually fun because you get to keep using it. And then a God for Superman. +1 power. Each time a villain enters the lineup, you may put this from your discard pile into your hand. So that's definitely fun. Helps them elect them villains. Then finally, Wonder Woman. The second time you play an assist during each of your player's turns, target player draws a card. So she will have Faithful Friend. +1 power. You pay 1 less to buy your next assist card on your turn. Lasso. I wonder why it's not called Lasso of Truth. +1 power. You may move target villain within 1 range to your space. And then Warrior Princess. Assist range 2 gives you +1 power. Yeah, so they're nothing. None of them are overly power, overly abusive. They're just kind of like little upgrades to the starter cards. But again, it can make them initial decks a little bit more fun. And now if you're playing like you played scenarios multiple times, or you're playing competitive, you could agree, it says in the book, you could agree on how many of those cards you want to include. So you could be like, hey, you guys, we played all the scenarios. Let's just play a normal game without worrying about the scenarios and the extra little things. It's just play normally. You could opt to have everyone start with each one of those cards in their deck, so that way you're starting off at a little bit more of an advantage to play the game. Now again, with the minus the couple that have like the range abilities or the movement ability things, you could throw like something like that in everybody else's deck. That's actually something, a house rule I do when I play regular DC deck building. I do the same thing when I play Marvel Legendary. Is I find, like for this game, I find a card that fits with that character. That's usually like a 2-cost card. And I put it in everyone's starter deck. So everyone starts with 1 extra card. Just to help out their deck. So if I'm playing, I'm not sure the exact cards, but if I'm playing like Hawkman, I think there's the he has like there's a Nymph Mace that I usually have him start with, or if I'm playing Batman, he'll start with like a Batarang. Like every set always comes with usually a cheap card that kind of works with them, and sometimes if you're playing 4 players, you might be. I don't think this game has 4 copies of every card, so you can't really hang out the same card to every character. So I tried to give everyone a card that would work well with their abilities. So like if Batman works with equipment, he gets to start with an extra equipment card. Superman uses heroes in them sets, he starts with a hero card. So I like doing that, and this is kind of like a same idea of that, is because then that way, although everyone starts with generic stuff, it kind of avoids that having to play 2 rounds before you get to anything special in your deck idea. So I kind of like doing that. Alright, so now we're going to jump into, well actually before we jump into the scenario packs, we're going to look at the threats. So we have all these little threat tokens, which will replace the threats on the threat board. Okay, depending on what the scenario says. So we're just going to read through all these really quickly. So we have, and I'm not even going to do them in alphabetical order apparently, because I don't have them. Let me do that. We have A, which says ongoing, villains cost 1 more to defeat. We have B, characters don't prevent supervillains' movements. C, ongoing villains cost 2 more to defeat. D, as non-villain cards with a cost of 6 or greater enter the lineup, destroy them and replace them. E, on each time a villain with a printed cost of 7 or less enters the lineup, make its attack against each player. So basically, almost most non-superpower villains. F, ongoing, players can't buy non-villain cards in spaces where villains are present. May still gain them. So something that says gain a card, they can them, they just can't purchase them. We have G, during step 4 of the turn sequence, adding additional card to the lineup. And H, ongoing, supervillains cannot be defeated if there are any other cards on their space. So some different things that could change up some of them. And then we have a different end condition. Your team has 2 rounds to isolate 5 supervillains or lose the game. So various scenario things are going to pop up that might tell you to replace them. So now they're going to cover up other spots on these boards. Now, you have this one that says +1. So I imagine you might have a scenario that says replace that to +2. But you could get one that says +4. Alternatively, you could just shuffle them and be like, okay, we're going to put one of these on, roll a 6-sided dice. And depending on which side you get, 1 through 5, you can, or 1 through, I guess 1 through 4, because you probably don't want to cover up 5 or 0. You could be like, we're going to replace it if we get one of them numbers, and we're going to put it on there. And you could kind of create your own thing. Again, your games, do what you want. Alright, so now we're going to look at scenario pack number 1. So this is super spoilers, because all the rest of the stuff is in the box. When you open it, them starter cards, you can pop them open. You might shuffle through them before you actually realize what they are. But these cards are all sealed. So you're going to look at them. Now, I have, of course, taken them out and looked at them all before, because I have them sleeved. So we're going to have 1A. So it's going to be Scenario 1 Proving Grounds. Story. The gang's all together and needs to learn to function as a team. The Justice League's greatest foes have come to town to see if you are truly the world's greatest heroes. You need to defeat 5 supervillains before time runs out. Place the secret card face down next to the threat track. So here is our secret card. So we don't know what it is. You play this face down, so you don't know what it does. Then if we flip over this side, it's going to tell us how to set it up. So use Arkham Asylum, Daily Planet on side A, and then Batcave, City Hall, and Police Station on side B. So side A will get their cost abilities, and side B will get their card stacks. It says threat track 1 to 2 players, add threat A to level 2. So that would mean if you're playing 1 or 2 players, we're going to add ongoing villains cost 1 more to defeat to spot number 2. So it's going to replace that 1 shot. And that says in the main deck, add 2 supervillains to stacks 2 through 5. So this is telling you how to set up them supervillains. So normally you create 5 stacks of cards. This is telling you how to add them. It says when you beat Scenario 1, gain your character signature card number 1. See page 18. So you'll have to beat Scenario 1 to get that first scenario card. Then we have a secret card, which, what's the secret card do? It says, it's a trap. Why are you looking at this? Nothing told you to look at this. If you're looking at this prior to the end of Scenario 1, add the top 2 cards of the main deck to the lineup. At the end of Scenario 1, remove this card from the campaign. So that's kind of funny, just because they're like, hey, our rules told you to not look at this card, and now you're cheating by trying to see what it is. So now you have to add the top 2 cards of the main deck to the... Now it's kind of a fun thing, but again, if it's like, you've played this multiple times, or even once, and you remember that that's what this is, you're not going to do it. So if you're playing with the same group of people, it's not really a special thing. But if you're playing, brand new people, you can kind of leave it there, and someone's like, hey, what's that do? And you're like, well, it says not to look at it. And they do anyhow, then you're like, oh, great, now you screwed us over. Alright, so then we have scenario pack number 2. So the first one's just your starter thing, it gets you going, but then it gets you that signature card. So now, this set, so if we look at the back of these, we're going to have some secret cards. We're going to have some side missions. We're going to have some with regular backs. That means those will get mixed into a deck at some point. But we'll see what we have. We'll go through these in order. So we have Scenario 2, Side A. Hostage Situation. The Justice League is feeling pretty good after the first mission, but there's no time to rest. Villains have figured out that they can keep you and your allies. They can keep you from your allies and gadgets. You won't be able to interfere with their nefarious plans. Deal each player 1 secret card from the top of the deck. Remove the rest from the campaign. Only players may look at the cards dealt to them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different cards. So if you're playing 4 players, each one are going to get used. And then we'll see what they do. So then this will have our different scenarios to tell you which sides use threat track add F to level 0. And this is cover level 4 with threat B. Okay, so then some say cover and some say add. So that is interesting. So add F to level 0. So F is going to say, so along with being the normal, you're also going to say players can't buy non-villain cards in spaces where villains are present. So that means you have to defeat villains to buy stuff and cover. I'm not going to go through all these every time. I just want to stick these through. So this is covering level 4 with threat B. Characters don't prevent superheroes' movement. So that would be threat level 4. So if you're playing cooperative, there's nothing there. But if you're playing competitive, you wouldn't actually use these. So that doesn't matter. And then add threat level 2. So yeah, some different things there. It says, main deck, add 2 supervillains to stack 2 through 5. Side missions are now available. See Roll 18, reveal these 5 cards to all players. So, let's look at what side missions do. Page number 18. It says, starting with the second scenario, 3 side missions are available. Let me move this back so I can actually look at this. Alright. Keep them handy during this and future scenarios, but remove each one from the campaign as it's completed. They may be completed at any time, but each one of them may only be completed once per campaign. You may complete multiple during a scenario. They won't be easy. Completed side missions adds to your total points. 2 of the missions will add new cards to the main deck starting with the next time you play, even if the next time is a replay scenario. The 3rd mission will repair damage or destroyed location. When you complete a repaired mission, remove all damage and destroyed tokens from that location. Location reset to full 5 hit points, and if it's a B location, replace its basic cards on it. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting there. So we'll have these side missions we can do as well. So this kind of adds a little bit more to the game. Alright, so next we're going to do here is we're going to look at those 4 secret cards. So each player will get one of these. So one will be a hoarder. To earn signature card number 2 for your deck. End the scenario with at least 5 basic cards in your deck. We want to keep that secret. So this is extra little goals that each person's trying to do. So someone might be wondering why you're not getting rid of basic cards. That's why. We have Glutton. During your signature card number 2, and this 10 or more cards in your deck than each other player. So this one you're going to be trying to buy a bunch of cards. So you might need to buy a bunch of cheapy cards. Suspicious. To earn signature 2 in your deck, provide no assists during this scenario. This is a little bit easier unless you're playing Wonder Woman, because you could just decide to not buy any assist cards, except for the helping hand. But people might be like, why aren't you playing that? But hey, I don't need to help you. And then Glory Hound. Turn signature 2, you must defeat 2 supervillains during this turn. Each time you defeat a supervillain, place it face up under this card. So again, these are also things that, like, the first time you play it, this could be really fun, because other players might not know what these do. But, especially if you keep all these hidden, from everybody. Even if, like, you're the main player and you know what these do, so you kind of have an idea. But, yeah, if you're playing with other people, they don't know what everything does. So it kind of adds it. But people, like, the 5th time you've played this, it might not be as fun. Then we have side missions. These all have the little blue on the back. So, side mission 1 is Recruit Crypto. Mission, defeat 2 supervillains during a single turn. If you do, add Crypto to the main deck for the remainder of the campaign. Then remove this card from the campaign. Yeah, so not super easy, but it's doable. And if we do, we get Crypto. Plus 3 power, defense. Discard this to avoid an attack. Each player draws a card. Then the bomb down here has 2G to match up with his 2F, 2G. So that way you know it's part of that set. So if you're resetting this ever back to the original campaign, you just look for that little symbol to pull one of those cards out. We have Recruit the Ray. mission, defeat two villains with a printed cost of 7 or less during a single turn. If you do, add raid to the main deck for the remainder of the campaign. And the raid says, draw a card. Then if a supervillain is in the lineup, you may pass this card to another player's hand. And then finally we have repairs. During your turn, you may place cards with a cost of 5 or greater from your hand under a location where your character is present. When there are 5 cards under a location, move all damage tokens from this to fully heal a destroyed location, and then remove this card from the campaign. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. Some extra little things to get to do. And then they carry over from campaign to campaign. So they unlock during campaign 2, but they'll stay out and you can keep trying them on each campaign. So if you fail during scenario 2, you're not like, oh, I'm completely out of this, I can't do this anymore. I do like that these little sleeves, though, they do hold sleeved cards. And I use penny sleeves, which are a little bit bigger than regular sleeves. So that's nice. So I have scenario 3. So scenario 3 we have, this is going to be fun. Start, remove Doomsday from the campaign. Story, something weird is happening. You have lost your superpowers and can no longer stand up to supervillain threat. Can you recover in time to save the day? Superhero cards begin the scenario face down. Supervillains cannot be defeated while any superhero cards are face down. Then we have our locations. We have a threat, cover level 4 with threat B, add threat to level A. If you're playing 1 to 2. Main deck, add only 1 supervillain to stack number 2. Add 2 supervillains to stack 3 through 5. Then add the top face down card to stack 2. Add the top face down card to stack 2, then shuffle it. Place the next face down card on top of stack 2 after it has been shuffled. Okay, so what they want you to do is you have face down cards. So they want you to do is you place one of these, and so they're saying face down because they don't want you to know what these cards are when you're even doing this. It's add the top face down card to stack 2, then shuffle it, so it's replacing one of the villains, and then place the next face down card on top of stack 2 after it's been shuffled. So you're adding one of these cards, which is a villain. I'm spoiling that, but we're adding spoilers. To the deck, so you have a second villain in the set. But then you're also adding the other card to the top of the deck. So once you play through the first part of the deck, then you'll draw this card. So what are the cards we're adding? We're adding Mr. Mixelplick. Attack, place your character on a space opposite of Mr. Mixelplick, then he moves 1 space clockwise. Reward, each player draws a card. He attacks every area at once. So that's crazy. So he's always going to do his attack every turn. So he's going to be moving people around the board constantly. But again, you can't attack villains until your heroes are flipped face up. How do we do that? We have Reborn. Flip each face down hero face up, then place this card on the bottom of the main deck. This card cannot be destroyed. Yes, this starts you off right there. So this is kind of neat. Kind of like the Rebirth mechanic of the game. Yeah, it's really fun. Alright, so then we get that. And then now Mr. Mixelplick is going to be one of your villains you can face every game. He's now added into there. But you removed Doomsday, so you don't have to fight Doomsday anymore. Scenario number 4. Now you can see how some of these have 2 or 3 cards. Like the second one had a bunch of cards. So that's kind of fun. Everything gets a little bit different. So we're going to have Scenario 4, Distractions. Remove Mr. Mixelplick and Reborn from the campaign. Oh, I guess we don't get a fight against him anymore. Players who did not earn a signature card in Scenario 2 gain their card now. So yeah, if you didn't gain it by doing that, you're at least going to get it now. You had to play through another full campaign to get it. Story, the supervillains are causing havoc across the globe, compelling the Justice League to split their forces. While you stay behind to protect the city, your heavy hitter allies are nowhere to be found. Deal the secret card to any player. 1. Only that player may look at it. your locations, your threat tracks, and your main deck. Add 2 supervillains to stack 2 to 4. Add only 1 supervillain to stack 5. Our secret card is going to be Shot in the Arm. During this scenario on your turn, you may reveal and play this card. You get +2 power this turn and gain a weakness. Then remove this card from the campaign. Keep this as secret. So it's kind of interesting. Just like, little quick thing. Not an extra lot of special things going on in this one. All the different threat things are part of what are going to make the game a little bit different. I don't think they wanted to make the game super different every time. Here we have scenario 5. Alright, so we're going to start off with scenario 5, setting the stage. This is starting to look like the prelude to an invasion. As the invaders lay groundwork, things are getting more and more dangerous as paranoia grips the city. Deal each player 1 secret card from the top of the deck. Remove the rest from the campaign. Players may only look at the card dealt to them, so we're going to get 4 secret cards. Locations, threat track, main deck. 2 supervillains to stack 2, 4, and 5. Add only 1 supervillain to stack 3. Then place the face-down card on the top of the stack 3 after it's been shuffled. So we're going to add that extra villain into stack 3, but it's going to be on the top. So as soon as we hit part 3, we're going to have to fight that villain. What are our secret cards? We have Counting on You. To earn signature card 3 for your deck, end the scenario with the cards that cost 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in your deck. So that's kind of an interesting goal. Travel in pairs. To earn signature 3, and this scenario with at least 2 copies of at least 5 different non-basic, non-starter cards. That could be very tricky. Mind Controlled. To earn everyone on your team their signature 3, make sure your team doesn't win this scenario. So that is funny. So this guy has to try and sabotage the scenario, then everyone gets their card. And then Big Timer. To run a scenario, number 3 for your deck, and the scenario with at least 5 cards with a cost of 5 or greater in your deck. So now this one, I wish though they had, even any of the scenario cards, I wish they got, or secret cards, I wish they would have had 5. So if you're playing a 4-player game, there's always 1 card that could get left out. And especially something like this, you could opt to keep that trader one out. Because some people don't like the trader mechanic. I don't have a problem with being like, hey, I can't tell people why I'm buying this, or maybe not helping them a little bit. That's not so bad, having kind of like a little personal goal. Because you could kind of see that in a superhero comic. Like, oh, the Teen Titans are teaming up to do this, but like, while they're sneaking into this base, Robin has an alternative that he's also trying to do something else. He's trying to get something from a computer. Like, you could kind of see that. Like, but like, have a full-on trader mechanic in here without it being out. Like, it would have been nice to pull that 1 card and be like, okay, we're not going to use that one. But that's just me. Alright, then we have our villain we're going to add. We now have to fight Starro. Attack. Flip your superhero card face down. If it is already face down, gain a weakness. Reward. Target player draws a card. Each player flips a superhero card face up at the end of the turn. So he's going to shut you down again. Alright, the mind control thing though kind of has to do with Starro. I can kind of see that. That's what he does. He controls people. So it kind of fits with the theming there. But yeah, I think if you're opting to play a game, you're saying it's full co-op, to then have a mechanic which I have to make my team lose. And how do you make your team lose out in a game like this, outside of just not playing cards or not helping them? Alright, so then we have scenario number 6. Poisoned supervillains. Start moves Starro from the campaign. Story. Before you took him down, Starro managed to infect all of Earth's supervillains with a deadly toxin. You can't defeat supervillains in this scenario, as thousands would die if the toxic were to be released. You've got to isolate them and keep them away from each other to win. Deal the secret card to any player, only that player may look at it. Locations, threat tracks. So this is the one where we're going to add this one. Team has 2 rounds to isolate 5 supervillains, so it's adding threat I. Oh, maybe it's not. Cover level 1. Let's threat C. Add threat G to level 2, cover level 3. No, I guess it's not. Huh, I would have thought that would have been the one, because it specifically said isolate. Add 2 supervillains to stack 2 to 4, add 1 to stack 5. It's only because we removed Doomsday, so we have 1 less threat in there. To isolate a supervillain, they may not share space with another villain and may not be at their destination. So we have to isolate. Did it specify how many we had to isolate? Nope. Oh, is that supposed to be a J? H. I think they mess up and they put J instead of. You've got A, B, C, D, H, and I. I think level 5 is supposed to be this. They put a J instead of an I. So round 2 5, isolate 5 supervillains. You have to separate 5 supervillains into different spots. That makes more sense. Our secret card is take 1 for the team. Reveal this card if you were attacked 3 times during a single turn. Once during this turn, remove 1 damage from a location where your character is present. A destroyed location repairs to 4 damage on it. So that's interesting. Because by isolating means you're going to have to try and get these guys to the same area, but you can't defeat them. So you're going to be taking hits from them guys by trying to hold them down. So yeah, a little bit different idea there. Scenario number 7. We have Retaliation Start. The player did not earn a signature card in Scenario 5, gains their number 3 card now. Story. The villains have had enough. They are going to be casualties. Each time a player defeats a villain, destroy all cards at the cost of 1 or greater they played that turn. Cards they played after that and assets they played by other players are safe. Deal the secret card to any player, only that player may look at it. Alright, that sucks. Each time a player defeats a super, destroy all cards at the cost of 1 or greater they played that turn. So basically, you're going to want to play your cards, defeat a villain, and then play the rest of your hand. There's our locations, our threat tracks, and our main deck. 2 supervillains to 2 to 4, add 1 to 5. Read this aloud. At the end of the scenario, remove all cards at the cost of 1 or greater in the destroyed pile from the campaign. Reminder, if you lose, they are not removed. Yes, you really gotta be careful on what cards you're willing to sacrifice. So that is very interesting. And then the secret card is save 1 for the team. Each time a supervillain is defeated during this scenario, if you played a card during your turn, put 1 of the cards that would be destroyed under this card. At the end of the scenario, reveal this card and place all cards under this card back in the main deck. Then remove this card from the campaign. Yeah, so basically one of your characters can kind of be like, hey, I can help out. That's kind of weird though, that it's like, you know, again, you're kind of thing like, if you're never playing this and you have one guy doing that, and it's like you play a card, and everyone's like, oh, I have to destroy it, and you get to put one under there, they're like, oh wait, why do you get to do that? And you're like, oh, I can't tell you what happens with these cards. Yeah, it would have been more interesting if everybody had a thing that said that. It's like, hey, when you're done, put this under the card. And then, like, maybe, like, card 8, like player 1, 2, 3, and 4 or whatever. and then had another card that said, at the end of the scenario, reveal this. And it'd be like, player 3 gets to put all their cards back under here. Otherwise, how do you try and sit there and justify why you're doing this? Or people start realizing, oh, he gets to put all the cards back. We should let him destroy everything. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So we have scenario 8, which is the final scenario. So we have Dark Side Cometh. Remove Deathstroke from the campaign. At the story, all of the machinations, all the preparations, it's obvious now that Darkseid has been one behind every step of this invasion. Defeat Darkseid to claim victory in the campaign instantly, or defeat 5 supervillains as usual before time runs out. Our different stuff. Place Arkham in slot 1, the rest are placed randomly. Threat track, couple different things there. Cover letters with a blank. Should we just flip one over to the other side? So it didn't actually give me a blank one. Main deck, add no supervillains to stack 2. Add 2 supervillains to stack 3 through 5. Place the next 3 face down cards on the top of stack. The next face down card on stack is stack 2 after it has been shuffled. Alright, so then we of course have our deck here. So we have 1 card. So that's the top of our deck. We get Darkseid. He's gonna pop up. He's gonna pop up in stack 2. That is nuts. Attack. Destroy the top card of the main deck. If it is a villain, add it to the lineup instead. Reward. You have defeated the invasion, your team wins. So he's gonna come out and walk around for like the entire game, constantly causing you issues. That's crazy. So that is that. The other thing we have though is Impossible Mode. Score a major victory to unlock the Impossible Mode. Don't look through these cards. Expose surprise. Leave these cards in the packet until needed. Impossible Mode cards are ongoing cards that will increase the challenge level of future campaigns if you choose to use them. When a supervillain enters the lineup, find its card, and replace it on the next to the threat track. While a supervillain is in the lineup, you are subject to that ongoing text. When that supervillain is defeated, remove their card. And then Impossible Mode cards are a great way to play Rebirth as a one-shot game without any of the scenario shenanigans. Simply grab 8 random Rebirth supervillains, shuffle 2 into each stack, 2 to 5, then put each supervillain's Impossible Mode card next to the threat track when they appear, and remove them when they are defeated. Set up the start track as it appears in Scenario 5, or create a custom track using threat tiles. Try to beat 5 supervillains before they run out. So that's kind of neat. So it's like, you beat the game. Now here you can replay it as a single mission, or you can add these other cards to just add some more randomness. So you don't have to keep trying to keep replaying these over and over and over. So I think that after, again, unless you have like one person that just sets up the game and then they keep inviting different people to play, the game sometimes might get a little bit boring or hard for them if they can't, especially if they can't decide to like not accidentally spoil what's going to happen or kind of lead people in that direction if they don't, alpha game it. But if you're good at not doing that, it's like, yeah, the other people might be surprised. Ooh, that's kind of fun. This is kind of neat. But if you have the same gaming group, I don't think you'd probably play through these more than maybe twice. Again, unless they add expansion, which adds maybe new characters or new locations. Because you can always retry the entire scenario with new locations, or with new characters. It might add some different stuff. You can mix and match characters from other games to try it that way. But just buying this box, I don't see you replaying it maybe more than twice with the same people, because you're going to know what's coming up. You're going to know how they all work. So that is that. Now we're going to look at the Impossible Mode cards. So they're going to say Impossible Mode on the back. And we have... Well, actually... T-E-F-G-H-I-J-K-L-M and N. I want to put these in order. Alright, so you have Doomsday first. So I'm basically saying when you play these cards, either if you play them in the impossible mode, regular, or if you just play them in a regular thing, you pull these out and you get these ongoing effects. So Doomsday has total destruction. The first time you leave a space during each of your turns, destroy a non-villain card in that space. Deathstroke. You can run. Ongoing. At the end of your turn, if there are no cards in your space, add the top card of the main deck to your space. Reverse Splash. Pardon the Intrusion. Ongoing. When a super villain enters a character space during step 3 of the turn sequence, it makes an attack against that character, even if non-active players are attacked. Despero. Parting Shot. Ongoing each time you defeat a villain, it makes an attack against each player. General Zod. Kneel before Zod. Ongoing, players may only play one move card from their hand during their turn. Lex Luthor. Rule Breaker. Ongoing, players may only draw 4 cards at the end of each turn. Sinestro. Ongoing, at the end of each of your turns, if you are not sharing a space with another character, gain a weakness. And then Amazo, a Power Absorption. Ongoing, when 4 different card types have been played during a turn, villains cannot be defeated that turn. Assists count towards this total. So those are our main cards, but then we get the 3 extra cards we've unlocked during the scenario. Mr. Mixoplick, the old Switcheroo. Each time you attempt to buy a non-villain card, reveal the top card of the main deck. If the revealed card's cost is lower, gain it instead. Villains gain this way are added to the lineup. Starro. Facehuggers. Ongoing. With a superhero card is face down, you cannot assist or be assisted. And then Darkseid. Ongoing. During your turn, whenever a card is destroyed, discard a card with the same card type as the destroyed card. So those are the fun impossible mode cards to add in there. Now the only thing I would have liked in this game with these scenarios, I like the fact they add some extra villains. The impossible mode's kind of fun. The fact that they only have 2 side missions, and it's starts in set, or 3 side missions, I guess, and they start in deck 3, in campaign 2. And it's like, it gets you 2 extra cards. It would have been neat if they would have had more of them in this game. Like, maybe not some in every set, but like, you have 8 missions. You could have put some in campaign 5 and then like some in campaign 7, like every couple. Just to give you something else to work on. To do, maybe to add a couple more cards. Because if they would have added 4 more of them, and you had 4 other different cards to get, maybe a little bit more powerful cards. Because like Crypto, I think was cost 4. Then neat if like by campaign 6 or 7, you would have had option of maybe trying to get some cards that did, to put in the deck. So not even necessarily, you could put in the deck, you might never see them. So it would have been neat if you would have had more ways to do some more of them. And that's always something they could add for expansions here. Is they could do more of like, I know lots of people are hoping they do like a Crisis type expansion. I could definitely see something similar to that. Like, here's a couple new characters you can use with your signature cards. Here's, like two or 3 new locations with their stack. Maybe here's like 2 new locations with their 2 stacks to get you something different there. Here's like 2 or 3 more scenarios you can play. Here's maybe even just some side missions, even if they're just not in the scenario pack. So like maybe have a side mission pack. Like, here's 5 more scenarios, so when you play, or side missions, so maybe you play the game whenever you want, you could add like a side mission into the game, or you could replace the other 2 or something. Be some really interesting stuff like that. You could replace a couple of the tiles. So rather than maybe making another full big box set with 7 new locations, 8 new scenarios, you could always do like 2 small sets that add 2 or 3 scenarios, this or that. You can, in the way all these scenarios work, except for the whole thing with the signature cards being added in, you could potentially make new scenarios that could just get replaced in there. because that's the only thing that kind of gets disruptive is if you haven't earned your scenarios. Otherwise, all the rest of them was remove this card, put this card in the deck, and then begin the next one. Remove this card. So you could, after you play through a full scenario, you could mix and match some of these around. Alright, that's what we got for this game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out parts 1 and 2 if for some reason you haven't. You're just watching the spoilers. Otherwise, check out the other DC games on my other videos.